Let's try to simplify the draft survey, but let's start with the basics. Say, for example, this is 1 cubic meter of water. This means 1 meter in length, 1 meter in width, and 1 meter in height. The equivalent weight of this, if it's pure water, is 1 metric ton. So 1 is to 1. But if it's seawater, it contains salt, so it's heavier. For the same size, 1.025 metric tons is its equivalent, so it is heavier. Let's set aside the density first. Let's go back to Archimedes' principle. For example, this is your ship. According to Archimedes' principle, the weight of this entire ship is equivalent to the weight of the water it displaces. What does that mean? It means, if this is your ship that is floating on the sea and its draft is 5 meters, then the weight of the entire ship is equivalent to the weight of the water that would normally be in its submerged part. That's the water it displaced. That's why we call the weight here on the ship displacement. So, to get the weight of the entire ship, you just have to determine the volume of the submerged part. Then, multiply it by the density, and you'll get the weight of the entire ship. That's why draft reading is very important, because that's where we measure up to what point is the ship's submersion. It's very important to be accurate in draft reading because all your calculations are based on that. Now, for every centimeter the water submerges, you just have to multiply here on the side. Say, for example, the length and width are 5 meters. Then your draft is also 5 meters. So 5 times 5 times 5 is 125 cubic meters. When you are in seawater, then it's equivalent to 128 metric tons. You'll just multiply the density. Then, if it submerges further, let's say 6 meters because you're loading more and more, then it gets heavier. So 6 times 5 times 5 is equivalent to 154 metric tons. Say, you really keep adding more load, and it sank into 7 meters. So 5 times 5 times 7 is 179 metric tons. It's very easy. You just need to read the draft. Now, are you familiar with this table? We have a draft, and then we have an equivalent displacement. Yes. This is a hydrostatic table. In our hydrostatic table, you just need to get the draft, then you can get the displacement. Same principle will apply. The weight of our ship is equivalent to the volume of the submerged part of the ship, which we will convert to weight by multiplying the density. Now, we cannot apply the formula from earlier because it is not actually rectangular. But our advantage is that this is designed by architects. That's why they were able to create this table of draft, volume, and equivalent displacement. But our ship is not flat. Sometimes it is tilted upward, sometimes downward. Yes, that's why we have what's called trim correction. Then, since our density varies per location, what's called in our hydrostatic table is only displacement. It's not really weight, because you still have to apply a density correction. So using that, since you've already obtained the total weight of your ship, you just deduct the fuel, ballast, etc. So that's how simple the principles behind a draft survey are. If you want to get technical, just apply the formulas or programs you have, and it will be easier for you to calculate.